the days of unleavened bread. And look who's with him. Gentiles, aren't they? It's Gentiles with him, not Israelites. Go ahead and read.
And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came unto them to Troas.
Go ahead.
In 5 days, where we abode 7 days.
Now, so you see who Paul, I'm saying this for a reason. Because, like I said earlier, men think that when Paul and them was teaching, and Barnabas and the apostles, they was teaching only Israelites. This applies to everybody. I don't care if you Gentile, Hamite, or Shemite. If you want to be a part of the household of the true and living God, you got to do what the Israelites done.
That's it, brother.
And this is who Paul was teaching. And this who was accompanying Paul. When he said, and we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread. After Jesus has died. After Jesus has died. Let's go now. Let's go to John the 10th chapter. Because I'm not gonna say that they didn't have some days that that they instituted themselves. I'm not gonna sit here and say that. Let's go now to John the 10th chapter. Because they did. And the Lord allowed them to do that. He allowed them to do that. John 10, and we're going to pick up at verse 19. John 10 and 19. Getting a little cold down here, ain't it?
No, sir.
I know Caleb love it. But John 10 and 19. Because God allowed them to institute some days. And they call them feast days. John 10 and 19. Go ahead and read it.
There was a division, therefore, again among the Jews for this saying. And many of them said, he have a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him?
Now they talking about Jesus here. But go ahead and read.
Others said, these are not the words of him that have a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind?
Somebody there has some sense, didn't he? Devil ain't going to open the eyes of the blind. He going to try to keep them closed.
Bro. We good.
Okay, go ahead.
Can the devil open the eyes of the blind? And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication.
It was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication. Go ahead.
And it was winter.
Now, you don't see no feast in the Bible that the Lord commanded you to keep called the feast of dedication, do you?
No, sir.
Because all the feast days are written in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And this is not one of them. So Jesus was there at the feast of dedication. So the Lord allowed them to have some feast days, didn't he? I'm not saying nothing wrong with you if you want to have certain, like 4th of July. If you want to celebrate 4th of July, something that happened. You understand? But when you start trying to stamp Christ on it, then you ain't doing nothing. He told none of the feast days that he commanded you to do. You're going to do the other feast days, but you ain't doing the feast days he commands you to do. Now you got, that's where the problem come in.
Make that plain.
And I'm going to show you.
Make that plain. Yes, sir.
And it was at Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication. And it was winter.
Go ahead.
And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
Now, so this feast of dedication, this is something that the Jews instituted. Not God, but the Jews. And then Jesus, he kept it himself. Let's look at something else. Let's go to Esther, the 9th chapter. Esther, the 9th chapter. Esther 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 20. Esther 9 and 20. Nehemiah, Esther. Esther 9 and 20. Everybody got it? Go ahead and read it.
Excuse me. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month, Adar. And the 15th day...
I'll tell you what, go back.
Mm-hmm.
Go back up to verse 19.
19, yes, sir. Therefore the Jews of the village...
No, I'm sorry. Let's go back up to 18.
18.
Yeah, 18.
Yes, sir. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
See, you see that? The 15th day they rested, made it a feast, a day of resting, feasting rather. Go ahead, a day of gladness. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting.
See, they the ones who done that. But the Lord ain't told you to keep no feast at this time, did he?
Make it plain, brother.
Go ahead and read.
And a good day and of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly.
Go ahead.
As the day.
So he wrote and made this decree to establish this among them that were that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Verse 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, in the month which were turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day.
See, this is something that happened. You know, because this man Haman was trying to kill the Jews, and he was stopped. He was going to try to destroy all of them, but he was stopped by the Jews. Mordecai and his cousin Esther. But go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. From sorrow to joy, and from mourning to a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor.
Go ahead.
And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them.
Go ahead.
Because Haman, the son of Amathia, and Agag, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is the lot to consume them and to destroy them.
See, so he tried to destroy them, but after they prevailed against him, they feasted the day on the 13th. They started on the 13th and the 14th and the 15th. Go ahead and read.
25. But with Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
Go ahead.
Wherefore they called these days Purim.
You see that? They called these days Purim. Well, this is something that the Jews and Mordecai instituted, right? And the Lord didn't say, well, no, He allowed them to do this, didn't he?
He did, brother.
But this is not a feast that the Lord instituted. It's a feast that men instituted.
Make that plain. Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read. I'm saying this for a reason. Go ahead.
Back at 26. Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name of Pur.
Go ahead.
Therefore all of the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these two days according to their writing.
See, the Jews took it upon themselves to do this. They took it upon themselves to do this. And their kids and everybody, and all of them would join them. Go ahead.
2 days according to their writings, and according to their appointed time every year. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews.
Now, do we have to keep this?
No, sir.
And we don't have to keep this, do we?
No, sir.
This is something that man instituted, not God.
That's it.
And he didn't have, God didn't say, no, don't do it. No, no. He ain't say nothing like that. He allowed them to do that, though, didn't he? So if God allowed them to do it, then who are we to say, well, no, you can't keep your rim. If you want to keep your rim, go ahead and do it. I'm not doing it because God never commanded me to do it.
That's right, brother. That's it.
But if you want to do it, though, I don't have no problem with it. And I don't know, I don't think God have a problem with it either. The thing I think God would have a problem with is that you do it Purim, and then you're not doing the other days that I command you to keep, like the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover.
That's it, brother. Yes, sir.
I think that's what God got a problem with. But go ahead and read.
Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish their seed from their seed. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abiel, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus.
Go ahead.
With words of peace and truth.
Now, so they're the ones who instituted this days. The Jews did at this time, not God. So God allowed them to do it, though, didn't he?
Teach, brother.
Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah, the first chapter. Isaiah 1 and 12. Isaiah 1 and 12. Isaiah 1 and 12. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
When ye come to appear before me, who have required this at your hand, to tread my courts.
Go ahead.
Bring no more vain oblations, incense and abominations unto me.
He said, bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. Go ahead.
The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with.
He said, the new moons and the Sabbaths and the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. Go ahead.
It is iniquity. Even the solemn meeting.
Go ahead. He said it's iniquity, even the solemn meeting. You know, you got these days, these feast days and everything, but you're doing wickedness, though. You're still doing wickedness. But notice what he said. He said, new moons and Sabbaths, the call of assemblies, I cannot away with. I cannot away with. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts.
Wait a minute. You see what he just said? Your new moons and your appointed feasts. Go ahead.
Your new moons and your appointed feasts. My soul hated.
My soul hated. So, they're the ones who appointed these feasts and these new moons. Not the Lord.
Teacher.
He don't hate his feasts.
No, sir.
Because if he did, then why was Jesus still keeping them then? I can show you what Jesus keeping the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Tabernacles.
Teach, brother.
And if you really want to know, that's the one who was talking right here when he was known as Jehovah. He said, your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hateth. They're the ones who appointed these feasts and new moons. Those are the ones that the Lord hates. Why? Go ahead.
They are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them.
Go ahead.
And when ye spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you.
Now why would God hide his eyes from them from keeping the Lord's feast? Why would he do that?
Come on, bro.
He said, your new moon and your Sabbath. He said, when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Why? Go ahead.
Yeah, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear.
Go ahead.
Your hands are full of blood.
Oh, that's why? Because their hands are full of blood? Go ahead and read.
Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil.
He said, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of the doings from mine eyes. So now, you know, you got your new moons and your Sabbaths that you have appointed, but then you doing wickedness, and then you ain't doing my feast and stuff. Now, how you gonna do that? I mean, does that make sense? God tell you to do something, and you say, well, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna do this, what man taught, or what man, tradition of men. That's what I'm gonna do. Skip what God said to do. Does that make sense? But this is what men have done. They have turned from the word of God and been turned to fables. And thinking God is going to accept that from them. If he's not accepting it from Israel, what makes you think he's going to accept it from any other man? So he said, put away the evil of your doing. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil you're doing from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Now, let's go to Romans, the 10th chapter. Romans 10. And look what he's telling, look what Paul is saying about the children of Israel. To the Romans. Romans 10, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Romans 10 and 1. Look at what he's telling the Romans, saying to the Romans about the children of Israel. And if it ain't good for them, then how can it be good for anybody else? We talking about the Lord's children right here, the children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to the knowledge.
See, they got a zeal for God, but not according to... Now, who got more zeal than us when it comes to worshiping and praising God? Nobody has more zeal than us. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness.
Hold it now, hold it. They being ignorant of God's righteousness. What's God's righteousness? The Passover, the Sabbath day, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You understand? The Day of Atonement, the blowing of the trumpets, the Feast of Tabernacles. That is God's righteousness, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It's written.
They being ignorant of God's righteousness. Go ahead.
And going about to establish their own righteousness.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what we just read over in Isaiah? They had their appointed feast days. They were working their iniquity, and then they had their own feast days that they had appointed. They ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness. And that's what man have done, haven't it?
Yes, sir.
Where do you think we get Sunday from, and Christmas and Easter and all this stuff, going to heaven? That's man's righteousness, not God's. Read that verse over.
3. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
They don't want to submit. Men don't want to submit themselves to God. They think that they have submitted themselves to God, but they haven't. You only have submitted to God when you do what he commands you to do. Then, because you know, you got your boss. You understand? He ain't your boss until you start doing what he tell you to do. Then he your boss, ain't he?
Teach.
Just like God. He your God when you start doing what he tells you to do. You can say we can say what we want to with our mouths, but action though, right? God is a God of action, right?
Indeed.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth.
Now see, they think that's the end of... I read that for a reason, you know, because we ain't turning and running from no scriptures.
Come on, brother.
Christ is the end of the law. What law is Christ the end of? We just read about it over in Daniel, the 9th chapter. He's going to cause sacrifice and oblations to cease.
That's it.
That's the law that Christ is the end of.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Let's go now. Let's go to 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter. 2 Timothy 4. And now we're going to start getting really down into this lesson. 2 Timothy 4. 2 Timothy 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 2 Timothy 4 and 1. Everybody got it? 2 Timothy 4 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
I charge thee therefore before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom.
Now you see when he gonna judge the quick and the dead at his appearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has he appeared yet? And where's the dead at then? In the grave.
That's right.
In the grave. Go ahead.
Verse 2.
Uh-huh.
Preach the word. Be instant in season, out of season.
Uh-huh.
Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine.
And that's what we're going to come to you today with. Doctrine.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
Uh-huh.
But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears.
Now he said, for the time will come, and it's here, when they will not endure sound doctrine. Sound doctrine is what? The feast days of the Lord. That's sound doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Not the feast of men or traditions of men. That's not sound doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And what they going to do?
And they shall turn away their ears from the truth.
They're going to turn away their ears from the truth. Go ahead.
And shall be turned unto fables.
And shall be turned unto fables. They're going to turn away. Now that's really something though, isn't it? If you really think about it, I'm going to turn away from what God say, and then I'm going to listen to what men say. Because that's who gave you these fables. Men, verse 5.
But watch thou in all things.
Now that's what we're doing. We're watching in all things, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Endure afflictions.
Uh-huh.
Do the work of an evangelist.
Go ahead.
Make full proof of thy ministry.
Make full proof of thy ministry. But you see what he said? They shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fable. Now let me show you a fable that they have been turned to.
The World Book Encyclopedia. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. This is a fable that they have been turned to. The whole world. Go ahead.
Santa Claus is a legendary old man who brings gifts to children at Christmas.
Now wait a minute. Do you see anywhere in the Bible where the Lord commands you to keep Christmas?
Come on.
You don't see that, do you?
No, sir.
So why you got all of those encyclopedias and dictionaries? Because I can't find it in the Bible. If I'm gonna try to find something, if I want to try to find out how to get to California, I need a map, don't I?
Teach, brother.
So if I want to find out about Christmas, then I got to go to the encyclopedia or dictionary because it's not in the Bible.
That's right.
Go ahead and read.
Back at the top. Santa Claus is a legendary old man who brings gifts to children at Christmas. He has long been portrayed as a stout, bearded man in a red fur-trimmed suit. The legend of Santa Claus is popular mainly in the United States.
See, we always taking a helm or something, aren't we?
Yeah.
we not only gonna do, we gonna improve it. You understand? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. This story adds to youngsters' excitement and wonder at Christmas time.
It's a fable, though, ain't it? We're dealing with a fable.
If you reverse the words around, Santa stands for Satan.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, brother. The ideal of Santa Claus developed from stories about a real person named Saint Nicholas.
Go ahead.
Historians know little for certain about Saint Nicholas.
See, they know little about this Saint Nicholas, but they got all these things to contribute all these things to him. Like, go ahead and read some more over there.
Yes, sir. It says, Irving describes Saint Nicholas as a stout, jolly man who wore a broad-brimmed hat and huge breeches and smoked a long pipe.
Uh-huh.
St. Nicholas rode over treetops in a wagon.
Well, see that? He rode over treetops in a wagon.
And filled children's stockings with presents.
You see that? Filled children's stockings with presents. This is a fable, ain't it?
All day.
But yet you got Christmas and Santa Claus around the world now. The whole globe celebrates this, don't they? Everybody celebrates this, but it is a fable. They shall turn away their ears from the truth and be turned unto fables. And that's what we got now, this time of the year, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to Galatians, the first chapter. Galatians 1. Galatians, the first chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 6. Galatians 1 and 6. See, if you turn it around, I ain't going to say that. That's cold, brother.
Okay.
But that's what it is, though.
Oh, yeah. Indeed.
Galatians 1 and 6. Galatians 1 and 6. Go ahead and read it.
I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ into another gospel.
Uh-huh.
Which is not...
You see, he said, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ. Unto what? Another gospel. Go ahead and read.
Which is not another.
Uh-huh.
But there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Christ.
Ooh, you see that? They perverting the gospel of Christ. Now you might say, well, why is he talking about perverting the gospel? You'll see in a minute. He said they have perverted the gospel of Christ. Let's go see what he meant by. Let's go look and see something here. We're going to the National Encyclopedia and we're gonna look up Christmas. Because Christmas, this perverting the gospel of Christ. We're gonna read this right here and right here. Don't read this yet. Okay. They say they have perverted the gospel of Christ, right? Look at what they have done. Go ahead.
This is the National Encyclopedia, Volume 2. All right. Christmas, the anniversary of the birth of Christ.
See how they perverted the gospel? Now, ain't nowhere in the Bible where it called Christmas and dealing with the birth of Christ, is it? They have perverted the gospel. Go ahead and read.
It is observed on the 25th day of December.
Now, wait a minute. Where you see that in the Bible? Well, Christ's birthday is on 25th day of December. We're going to show you where this comes from. Go ahead.
The 25th day of December, 1 week before the New Year.
The
celebration dates from the 4th and 5th centuries.
The 4th and 5th centuries. So, and what was it before that? I'm going to show you. Men don't know what day the Lord was born on. Some say he was born on April 17th. That's my birthday, by the way. Which I don't believe, because the book don't say it. If he was, what does it matter? The book don't say it. So I'm not going with that. But go ahead and read, though.
It says it was celebrated dates from the 4th and 5th centuries among the Romans certain Christian practices.
Among the Roman Christians, certain practices. Roman Christians. And that's what doctrine we got out here today. Mainstream Christendom is what? Roman Christianity. Go ahead.
Roman certain Christian practices were adopted from an old pagan feast.
Wait a minute now. An old pagan feast. Go ahead.
In honor of the birth of the Son. S-U-N.
In honor of the birth of the... Now this is a encyclopedia. It is non-biased. It's just telling you, recording and telling you why men did this and what men did that and what event took place and what time and everything. It is non-biased. Read that one more time.
Yes, sir. It says The Roman certain Christian practices was adopted from an older pagan feast in honor of the birth of the sun.
In honor of the birth of the S-U-N son,
S-U-N.
not of the S-O-N.
Or Saul.
Or Saul. That's the name of this pagan festival, Saul.
S-O-N. I mean S-O-L, excuse me.
Go ahead.
It says, among people of Germanic ancestry.
Germanic ancestry, right?
Ancestry, right.
Those are Germanic, those are Gentiles, aren't they?
Yes, sir, white folk.
Go ahead and read.
Including the English, the celebration of Christmas season with holly, mistletoe, wassail, and the Yule log.
The Yule log. Go ahead.
Are relics of an old pagan festival commemorating.
You see that, man? I mean, I don't mean to be laughing, but this is what we did. This is what y'all dealing with.
It's paganism.
Pagan festival. And then when you tell somebody, look, man, that what you doing is pagan, they get mad at you. But it's written right there. Get mad at the one who wrote the encyclopedia. Because I didn't write this. Get mad at Caleb. He reading it.
No, it's the National Encyclopedia. I am too.
Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Where was Christmas season with holly, mistletoe, wassail, and the Yule log are relics of an old pagan festival commemorating this shortest days of the year.
That's what it's commemorating. It was a festival that they called Saul. It was commemorating the shortest day of the year, when the sun stopped. Go ahead and read.
The custom of making presents at Christmas time is associated in the popular mind with the gifts presented to Christ by the wise men of the East.
Now, the wise men of the East, they gave Christ the gift. They weren't giving gifts amongst each other, was it? Then why are people giving gifts among each other? Y'all should be giving us money, you understand, so, for the church. You understand? They weren't passing out gifts among each other. They was giving the gifts to Christ. You finished with that?
The feet of the tree. No, sir.
Don't read this down here.
Okay, not yet. Okay.
All right. Okay, so now, you see what Christmas is? You see how they perverted the gospel? Because what I'm going to show you later that there's no certain day for Christ's birth. Men don't know when this was. But anyway, let's go now. Let's go to Luke. Let's look at one of the accounts of Jesus' birth. And let's see if they give you a date. Let's go to Luke, the 2nd chapter. Luke 2. Luke, the 2nd chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Luke 2 and 1. Let's see if we can find the date that he was born on. Luke 2 and 1. Everybody got it? Go ahead and read it.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus, that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the lineage of David.
Now, did he give any date when he even went up?
Not yet.
Didn't even get no date, did he?
No, sir.
Go ahead and read.
To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered.
Go ahead. Didn't even say how many days they were there, did it? It just said the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. So we know that they had been there in the 9th month then, right? But we don't know what month that was, though, do we? Because that's how many days it'll take accomplished for a woman to have a baby.
That's right.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 7. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes.
Go ahead.
And laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn.
Now, you see any date there?
No, sir.
I mean, we could read another account, but I can assure you ain't no date there. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night.
Now there were shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now some people say, well, shepherds don't be out with their sheep in the field in the wintertime. Be that as it may. The book still don't tell you what time it is, do it?
No, sir.
Skip down to verse 15. Go ahead and read.
15. And it came to pass as the angels were gone away from them into heaven, the shepherds said one to another, let us now go even unto Bethlehem, and see this thing which is come to pass, which the Lord hath made known unto us. And they came with haste, and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger.
Oh, so the wise men didn't find him lying in a manger. The shepherds did. Didn't even say how many shepherds it was, did it?
No, sir.
Don't even say how many wise men it was. 3 wise men. 3, you know.
No, sir.
No book don't say. But you see who found him in the manger, though? The shepherds did. You see any wise men around here?
No, sir.
We could go and read the other account and show you that the wise man, they found him, he was a child in the house. You understand? Well, I just want to make this point that there is no date here in which he was born. So how men come up with this? They had to take a date from somewhere else and then put the stamp, the Lord name on it. Another festival that man was keeping the stamp, the name of the Lord on it. But hold on for a minute. Hold on. We're gonna go look up Christmas again. And this time we're going to Encyclopedia Americana. We're going to look up Christmas again. I got all these books. I read these books. That's why you see them lined up here. Go ahead. What does it say?
The Encyclopedia Americana. Volume 6.
Now, don't read all of it. Just read what I got, you know. Okay.
Okay.